Go ahead, sir.
We want to welcome you this morning to this meeting of the Hidalgo County Drainage District for today, May 6, 2014. The entire court being present, we have a quorum. Is there anyone sign up for open forum?
No, sir.
All right, our consent agenda, any concerns?
There are no concerns, Judge.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And item 4,
Item 4, presentation and status on the Delta Watershed Project. I wanted to bring the board up to speed as where we're at. We went before the Region M Water Board last Wednesday, and several actions took place there which were very positive for the district. One of them was that the Region M approved at their level here the creation and the moving forward of the amendment of the state regional water plan, in which it puts the district now in a position to be able to go after monies that are associated with the water reuse and reclamation. The second item they took action on was approving the district as a wholesale supplier of water under the 2011 plan and also under the 2016 plan, which gives us the ability now to be part of the wholesale, to be an alternative water source for the community down here. So those were two positive actions. The fourth action they took was recommending the plan forward to the Texas Water Development Board for their consideration and approval on the Region M. Beyond that, we also met with TCEQ, which is the organization that will grant us excuse me, the water rights for the district, and it was a very positive meeting. They gave us direction, and basically what they told us, they're giving us a plan forward to move forward on the water right issues that we need permitting on. So overall, I think the project is moving forward. This was one of the major first steps in the development of this program and start generating revenues for the district on the potential of the wholesale of water. So it was a very good, productive last week with the Region M and TCEQ.
all right, any questions? Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Under
Next
item 5, bond series, discussion approval of an land acquisition in relation to J09 drainage project for parcels 41, 42, 43, 48, 50, 53, and 55. I will read the amounts. These are all the actual appraised values. There was no negotiation besides the value that was offered by the appraiser. Under parcel 41 to John T. Steele, 1.694 acres, appraised at $35,189. Parcel 42, John T. Steele, 2.1 acres, appraised at $42,385. Parcel 43 to John T. Steele, 2.788 acres, appraised value at $55,518. Parcel 48 to Jose Minerva Valderas, 0.445 acres, appraised at $12,085. Parcel 50, Paramount Citrus, 7.645 acres, appraised at $151,545. Parcel 53, Daniel and Irma Lozano, 0.521 acres, appraised at $14,855. And parcel 55 to Del Klein, 4.931 acres, appraised at $101,692. All of these are the appraised value of the property. My recommendation would be for the board's consideration on these.
Move. Second.
The project is a J09. It is north of Monte Cristo, west of US 281. It is a lateral that is moving west for about 4 miles that eventually will be extended to pick up water coming out of the Moorfield area and McCook area. It's been on the books for about 3 years already. We've constructed part of it already. I believe last year Commissioner Joseph Palacios with his crew constructed probably about a mile of it discharging in a detention facility.
Is there a motion to approve?
Yes. Motion.
In a second. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 6, requesting approval to enter into a lease agreement for 2 Xerox 6605 printers with the Hill through the district's membership of the Department of Information Resource, contract number DIR SDD 1767, $95 each monthly to include all service, parts, toner, and supplies.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B, requesting approval to attach specifications approval to advertise for RFB number HCDD1 14012-06-4 for gasoline on and off highway diesel fuel. This is our standard advertisement.
Approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Under the 2013 Bond Series C, requesting approval to accept bids and approval to award construction contract to lowest bidder meeting all required specifications for RFB number HCDD1 14-010-04-09 Precinct 2 Rural Drainage Development, Seminole Valley Subdivision Area Drainage Improvements to RDH Site and Concrete in the amount of $307,273. We had 9 bidders on this particular project. We do have the letter of recommendation from the engineer.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Under item 7, I will let somebody else do.
Here.
Morning, Marty.
Good morning, Martha Salazar for Hidalgo County Purchasing Department. Pursuant to the interlocal agreement between Drainage District and Hidalgo County, the requested services is for that Hidalgo County's Purchasing Department undertake the discussion and approval of the draft request for qualifications procurement packet, and that I have put on I did send them out earlier this week, last week, either Thursday afternoon or Friday morning, for you all to review the draft specifications packet. It would have the qualifications, the requirements, the scope of work. It'll also have the criteria for which the qualifications will be evaluated and scored. And I created a very simple scoring sheet that corresponds to the qualifications criteria, the criteria that we have made. I did leave an extra copy on each one of your chairs this morning, and we're here to present it so that we can move on to actually advertise it, which you had already given us authority to do, but we had not drafted the packet. Now, we incorporated back on April the 15th all of those items that were requested originally, which was the term of the agreement, the minimum qualifications, which was a law firm or an attorney with a minimum of 20 years experience in contract law and litigation. We also developed in the criteria those firms that may exceed the 20 years experience. We added a 10-point value to that. We also asked them to give us at least 5 cases. We also added the points, some points for if they were board certified or had any specializations in contract law or litigation. I think it's very simple. We will advertise the first time this next Saturday, the 10th. It has 3 consecutive Saturdays with receipt of those statements of qualifications from responses to this RFQ on June the 4th. Now, if for any reason you find something you need added, deleted, modified, we have until next Monday when those packets will be released after the first advertisement. But I would ask that they be done quickly. I believe we can make any changes you submit as long as it does not actually change the basis for the RFQ. If you find errors, typos.
Marty, on this RFQ, are they going to submit price per hour?
No. You are
Okay.
following under the water code. It doesn't specify. It says you must follow 2254, which is the Professional
So-
Services Procurement Act, so you're qualifying them only first.
So we're going to evaluate them just based on experience?
On what you requested, what you developed. After that, we will negotiate. Of course, you can negotiate on only what is permitted by law. You know, an attorney can't charge you more than what is permitted by law after that. But we also feel that we did incorporate, as I said, back on April the 15th, when you developed the major points of what you wanted this firm to do. We're also including as an exhibit the actual contract that would be reviewed and analyzed for that report, so that these firms would know exactly what we're looking for. So I need action on A, and that would be to accept the packet. As I said, any minor corrections or modifications, I sent it to all of your offices, to your administrative assistants. I'm leaving you with a copy right there also. So if you want to forward anything, we have the name of the buyer that's in charge. That's Miss Evangelina Garcia from my office. She used to, when we did the procurement services for the drainage district some time back, she used to be the buyer in charge. So we did assign it to her. So she's very familiar with the process. So if I could have action on A?
Move for approval?
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And on item B, I don't know if you want to take it up now, but this would be assignment, selection, and designation of the evaluation committee for the project. Once it comes in, like that, we know who we're going to send this to, send these into to be scored. Okay,
Our chief is, Yolanda Chapa for me.
okay,
Raul Lozano, Precinct 1.
all right. Commissioner-
Marcos Lopez, Precinct 4.
Okay,
One is a Mona.
pardon me?
Mona.
Mona? Okay. If I could have action that those are the assignees, please?
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mark. Item 8,
Item 8, I believe somebody from the judge's office. present.
Yolanda Chapa with County Judge Ramon Garcia's office. We've brought to you a job description. We sent you in your packet a draft of a job description for the general manager of the future, if you decide to approve this for the future. I want to go through some dates that I have here.
Number 8, we skip one.
you missed one, Godfrey.
Item 8.
Number 8.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm already on 9.
Apologize. Under item A, discussion, consideration, and approval of supplemental work authorization number 1 to the work authorization number 16 with S&B Infrastructure LTD as it relates to the coordination with the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, TCEQ, regarding the Raymondville drain. The supplemental agreement is in the amount of $129,269.20 and identifies a subcontract with Guerra Lead, Sabo, and Hernandez PLLC to assist in the performance of the services.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. What are they going to be doing here, God?
Excuse me, sir?
What are the lawyers going to be doing?
Basically, the attorney is going to be going over the requirements of TCEQ on the water issues as far as they relate to outflowing into the Laguna Madre and the requirements for the permit associated for that discharge. So it's the legal documentation associated with meeting TCEQ requirements for water issues.
How did we arrive at the amount of money?
Basically, the attorneys presented their cost to S&B Infrastructure. They submitted it to us. The hourly rate was according to the rates that we'd seen before. So that was a recommendation was submitted to the board.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, now, item 9.
Yes, sir. I would like to go over the dates to give to this court the dates of this process and how this took place. On January the 28th, Mr. Garza's contract was renewed for 1 year. And at that time, the discussion was that it was a continuation for 1 year, but basically a new contract, not the old contract. And that in the next year, we were going to be looking, replacing this position. So at that point, on February the 18th, we brought a job description at that time for a general, at that time it was for an executive director. I got direction from you to ask Mr. Garza to give us technical input into this job description. He recommended several things, and also the fact that we should ask for a district manager and not an executive director. We did that. So when I got this direction, we met with the chiefs of staff several times. We even have the agendas, and the reason we had not brought this forward was because we were also waiting for legal to approve it, which they now have. Mr. Victor Garza got a copy of it. And so we have been keeping the chiefs informed. We also got approval from Esther Cortez on the job description. So we have gone through the process of talking and ensuring that what we have done is what is now clear with everybody's input as far as a position of the general manager for the drainage district. Now, our responsibility was simply to put that together and then bring it forth to you for approval of this job description. And so therefore, that is what we're doing today. Do you have any questions?
My question is, Mr. Garza is going to be working for us till what day? December 31st?
Mr. Garza has a contract for an entire year, which you all approved January 28th. Yes, sir.
I believe the year is coming up on the end of January or sometime in February
I think it's in February, Commissioners, and my contract expires unless other action is
of
taken.
2015.
February 16, I think.
Godfrey, can you, the new contract, what does it stipulate your salary be set at? And you don't have a percentage as per se
No
as we had
percentage,
in
I
the
believe it's
past.
$180,000? Yes, sir.
108?
180.
180,000.
Yes, sir.
That is what the,
With no percentage whatsoever?
no, sir.
How long have you been with the district?
Commissioner, I guess since physically employed with the district since 95, probably about 19 years, but been working with the district since 79.
Now, it was understood that you were potentially not considering working with the district any longer, hence the reason why we're in this position?
That is correct, sir. Basically, I presented to the board that I was considering giving the board a year's work to try to consider the board looking at somebody else if they wish to go on there, based at where we're at right now. And depending on what this board wishes, I am at their disposal if they would want to consider extending my contract, renewing my contract, or whatever the board wishes are at this time. Circumstances have been changing over the past 4 to 5 months, so I'm here at the board's discretion.
Now, one of the issues is salary, am I correct?
Well, that's what we have to place as far as in this new job description. And we've done a survey and of what this position is normally, what entities pay for this position. Judge, you have a copy to give to all of the commissioners? Ranges? Oh, okay. Mr. Longoria does. That is,
Where is the Lower Colorado River Authority?
I'm,
San Antonio?
yes, sir.
Their manager earns,
San Antonio, I'm sorry.
their manager earns $122,449.
Judge, Commissioners, one of the things that I wanted to clarify was, in the meeting of the chiefs of staff, I met with Marcos Lopez, I met with Chris Trevino from Precinct 4, I met with Raul Silguero, excuse me, and I met with Mona Parras the next day following that meeting. Some of the direction that the direction we got from the chiefs of staff at that time was that they wanted an engineer, an actual engineer for that position. So what you have in front of you, gentlemen, is just across-the-board survey of some of the salaries for the engineer positions.
I also want to mention something else that I looked at. We currently have someone who has an engineer degree within Hidalgo County, not the drainage district, but Hidalgo County itself. And that engineer's starting salary in 2005 was $94,685, just to give you a
Hold on,
basis
but
of
what
each.
is he getting paid today?
And what he gets paid today is $120,000.
Total?
687, and then he gets a stipend of 53,000, and so his...
So the total would be
So the
what?
total's 174,000
Okay.
plus.
Whatever we decide here today, Commissioner, will not impact Mr. Garza's salary.
No, and that's not what I'm disputing whatsoever. I'm not disputing anything. I mean, we discussed this in the past.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, the circumstances in the past was obviously we needed somebody to shadow if in fact Mr. Garza was looking at retiring or no longer engaging with the district, that we needed someone to walk alongside him so he understands.
Yes, sir.
We wanted to make sure that he was included in the process, because when you look at other markets, obviously there's so many different variables to a lot of
Absolutely.
these different water authorities, and we wanted to make sure that what we were looking for would be adequate enough to service the district and best represent us.
And with that in mind, and with all due respect, Commissioner, with that in mind, the fact that Mr. Garza at that time said his contract would be for a year, the entire board talked about we need someone to transition while
Yes.
he's still here.
Right.
And so we moved on writing the job description, but again, I want to reiterate, never did we do this totally on our own. We
No,
wanted
and-
input
and
from everybody.
I will dispute, though, I don't think any staff member of mine recommended that it be a engineer per se. I see one of them standing over there, and I can talk to both of them. I'm certain that
Absolutely.
they didn't represent that. I'm not saying that I don't recommend that. All I'm saying is that I have a hard time believing they represented that.
I was at the meeting that Mr. Longoria talked to you about. We also sent out the job description. He brought that out, and he said, he specifically asked, does everybody agree that it needs to be an engineer? And the answer was yes.
Okay. Well, ultimately, it's a...
Did you want to say something?
Yes, can I please? Virginia's not here. She had a funeral this morning, so I'm speaking for her. So just visualize the sweet Virginia. You just talked about walking alongside Godfrey for the next, a year with the contract. We've only got 7 months left, the way I counted. So you need to make a decision today, and let's go out and get some qualified people. And like I say, you would think it would be an engineer. We were shocked years ago that Godfrey wasn't. But let's go out, see what's out there, what we can get, what is best for the county. And like I say, 7 months is not long for someone to, if you want them to walk alongside Godfrey, if that's just a saying and y'all really don't care and you've already made up your minds, then we're wasting time here. But what is best for the county? What is best, what we need? And that's what we're looking at. I'm sorry. 7 months is not much time. You need to get off the pot and do something. Thank you.
And I apologize for the delay. We were just making sure everyone had input into this job description.
Everybody's been provided with a job description?
Yeah, we sent a draft, but we received the approved one from Victor Garza, and we have a copy of that.
Are you going to say something, Jaime?
Judge, there was no major changes. What Mr. Garza did was actually flip some of the language, and did some seminal changes is what he characterized. It is a little bit different from what you have, but it is in essence the approved legal version.
And you provided it when? Thursday or Friday of last week?
To the chiefs of staff, I sent it out Thursday, late afternoon. So they received it, they had it Friday. Mr. Garza, I believe, received it on Thursday. Esther received it on Thursday. And I was waiting for approval from legal for their review over Friday and the weekend. I got that approval Monday, and that's why we decided to
As
present it.
far as you know, all of the chiefs of staff have had an input and have approved whatever the language is on the job description for this position.
Yes, sir.
And the issue we now need to do is talk about salary.
Yes, sir.
And what range of salaries were talked about or were discussed by the committee?
The one that stands out for us is the one that has the range, and that came from the Agua group. Wasn't it the Agua
Well, I
group?
believe the chiefs of staff gave us a range, and I believe Mr. Silguero is here, and I believe it was kind of his recommendation was 80 to 120,000 was the range for an engineer with 6 to 10 years of experience. That's kind of what the chiefs of staff recommended. What you have in front of you is kind of across-the-board survey of the local sources, number one, number two, and then the third one. Local source being one of the water supply corporations. That was their input. I believe it was 85 to 115,000. There was also
That's the one I just referred to, Commissioner.
There was also an engineer, a local engineer, who preferred we not use his name. He's been in the business about 20 years. He gave us, I believe, $85 or $80 to $90,000. And then the one that's handwritten in, I just actually received, was from another. This is a national firm that has local representation that gave us that number that you have in front of you as well.
80 to 120,000.
Right, 80 to 120,000.
The reason I mentioned the salary of an engineer we currently have is not because I wanted to focus on him as much as to say when he was hired and didn't have experience in the county, he was hired at that amount. I just wanted to give you that range of what this county has paid for an engineer that we currently have.
And just to dot our i's and cross our t's, for purposes of this survey and purposes of discussion of this job description, our local engineer, our engineer within the county was not consulted, completely not consulted.
Absolutely not. Not about the job description.
I just want to get to one simple fact. I mean, we're in this situation because Godfrey's contract is coming to a
Right.
close. What I don't want is to create a new position at the same time. If Godfrey, and if I can call Godfrey up, are you expressing interest to negotiate with the district to continue your service as a district manager, or are you not? Is it on the table or is it off the table?
It is on the table if the board wishes for me to stay on with the board to continue serving as its district manager. I'd be more than happy to sit down with the board members to discuss a compensation, and if we can arrive at something, I'd be more than happy to stay if the board wishes.
All right, and I just don't want to pursue something if there's still interest.
And Commissioner, this is the first time we hear this, so therefore, since we were given the responsibility of putting it together, that's why we've brought it forth. But Mr. Garza has never discussed this until I've heard it right now, but that's totally yours. This is what we have to
The
present.
only thing I see is maybe he'll stay here another 2 or 3 years, but I think we need somebody there to kind of start. He's not a vampire. He's not going to live forever, is he? Somebody to kind of, fill in and start picking up the trade. The way I see it.
And as a board, you have, that's your decision. This is not a person we're hiring right now, it's just the job description that we were asked to put together.
Like an assistant or something like an
So
assistant.
would we be considering a district manager or an assistant of some sort at this point in time? Why would we go straight for a district manager?
Well, when Mr. Garza said he was resigning in a year, We were going for a district manager, yes, sir.
As a
I'm
matter,
all
as
for.
a- as a matter of fact, Commissioner, we were very careful as we proceeded, and what we did was we pulled the minutes of the Commissioners' Court meeting, and we were very careful to look at what the wishes of the court were.
Your
And-
direction,
And
yes.
actually, direction specifically from Commissioner Palacios was go back and create this job description and create this position and bring it back to us. And that's what we did as staff.
Well, I don't think it went all for nothing. Now we have a good functional job description. I think the ultimate question is what the court or the board wishes
Yes,
to
sir.
do.
That's exactly
whether to
what we're
add To hire an assistant or hire a manager at this point in time.
And that's,
I know that back in 2013 was the first time Mr. Garza told us that he was contemplating, leaving the county. And then in 2014, again, he told us, I really do mean it, by, again, submitting a letter or his notice. And that's the reason where we are today, trying to figure out what the qualifications would be for someone to take over. And we wanted to do it well enough in advance that he could benefit from your guidance and any training that you might be able to provide, any information, any help, any assistance for this new individual. But if we're looking at doing something along the lines of assistant district manager or something, I do think we need to create a position. I do think we need to have someone there, like Commissioner Flores was saying, that will be able to step into your shoes and take over the operations of the district whenever you're not around.
And I wanted to clarify one item. Ms. Chapa made the comment regarding an engineer for the county. The district has a licensed practicing engineer as an employee. He's been there about 6-7 years already.
But we're looking for someone
No, I
that'll be
understand.
able
I
to
just
step
wanted to
in.
clarify, Judge, that we do have an engineer in the district.
and you made that point in the information you sent to us.
So if we approve this, we would change that for general manager to assistant general manager or what?
Have to come back, no, Steve, next week?
Why don't we bring it back next week?
Why can we not, we can do it for an assistant if that's what we want.
Can we do that, Steve?
I don't mind, Judge.
You need to look at all the qualifications and determine if the qualifications are appropriate for assistant general.
Qualifications stay the same.
And if we could do a range that'll be wide enough that we can have it maybe a little lower for the deputy or the assistant, and give it a large enough range that we'll be able to get somebody at a lesser amount than what we're paying today.
Judge, I share the same sentiments. I believe that's the right thing to do.
Another thing I've always said is, nobody's going to learn the drainage district in
Oh, no.
6 months, a year. It's
All
going to
that
take
experience.
2, 3, 4 years before anybody can pick up everything, believe me.
Mr. Crane, can we change that to assistant or the agenda?
Well, the point I was making is you need to look at the duties and qualifications of an assistant.
I believe it would change,
I think it's going to change.
Or we bring it
Yes,
back
sir.
or what?
because this person, Commissioner, would be responsible. And if Mr. Garza continues in his capacity, he's the responsible person, and this person will work under him.
So could you do it in a week? Could you reformulate the?
If that's your direction, we will do so.
But I still say that maybe Commissioner Palacios and the county judge's office needs to get together and come together and see what you all come up with. What do you think about that, Judge?
That'll be fine.
That'd be fine.
Commissioner, at the time, on January 28th, you said that the pay could range anywhere from 140 to 160,000.
I said that?
Yes, sir. But I mean, just to
I
give
think
you
I said
a
that.
figure in
Yeah, I
case
think I
that's what
said
you want
that
to go with.
because we have current employees with.
That are making a lot more than you.
I just want to make sure that,
Yeah, and I will share, Godfrey, if you can shed light on the operation itself, the overall budget that you handle, the amount of employees, the responsibility. That's the reason why I kind of addressed the range should be in
Sure,
that.
and the only comment that I make regarding the range of salary, understand that what I get paid does include everything, and what your employees make here does not include your insurance, your FICA, your retirement, which usually a $120,000 salary of an employee really counts the district or the county probably about $215,000, $220,000. So if you've got employees that are making $170,000, in reality, it's costing the county $340,000, $350,000. And if they've been employed for 8 years or 10 years, you're looking at them paying $3 million.
Now, in regards to your new contract, it's
$180,000.
$180,000. After it's said and done, and you reduce your insurance and all,
That's
what are
it.
you taking home?
Yes, sir.
About 130, 120 maybe.
Yeah,
But
by
I
the
just
time
want to
you take
make
your
sure that
car
we understand the
allowance,
total cost.
Okay.
So we're going to bring it back next week?
Yeah, let your office and Commissioner Palacios' office get together and come in.
With a different title, responsibilities, or the same one?
And I'll make myself available all week, so I'll go to
Okay.
your office, you come to mine.
Whatever you come up with, keep in mind that that's the person that we're going to be looking for to step into Mr. Garza's position.
Yeah.
Well, we'll work with all of the chiefs.
Sure.
And I'll make sure that we bring the one we brought today and another one next time,
All
so
right.
you can decide.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Captain.
Yes, ma'am. We have no item under closed session unless the board wishes to entertain any.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you very much, Judge Commissioner.
All right. Good morning. We want to welcome you this morning to this regular meeting of the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court for today, May the 6th, 2014. The entire court being present, we have a quorum. Please join us in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This time I would call on Pastor Brad Bergs.
Let's pray. Father God, first of all, we thank you for the great nation that we're blessed to be a part of. Lord, we thank you for our responsibilities as citizens, and Lord, I ask you to help each of us to live up to those. Lord, I ask you to lead and guide our leaders from Washington all the way to this court here today. Specifically for this meeting, Lord, we ask you to lead and guide the county judge and the county commissioners here today. Give them discernment to understand what your direction is, the integrity to do what's best for the county of Hidalgo, the wisdom to see the far-reaching effects of each decision. Lord, I ask you to bring all of us into unity around what's best for Hidalgo County. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
Thank you. If we could observe a moment of silence, please. Virginia Townsend is not here today because her brother-in-law, Mr. Quentin Townsend, passed away. And if we could acknowledge that in his memory and in memory of the Townsend family, a prominent family from our Mission Hidalgo County, Texas area. Thank you. I want to acknowledge the presence of our County Commissioner Precinct 2-elect, Mr. Eddie. All right. Our consent agenda, any concerns?
Any concern, Mr. Ofracio?
Judge, I would like to ask that consent agenda item 9I be pulled for discussion.
Move for approval without 9I.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
On 9I, the purchasing department requests action, but asks that the words "the second of two" be stricken from the actual caption. It is a typographical error. So it'll be reading, requesting authority to exercise 1-year extension as provided in the contract, etc. Those 3 words will be deleted. It's not a second there's no 2 options to renew 1 year, it's just one. But I ask for approval given that correction.
Corrected. Yes, that's corrected.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am. Under open forum, we have 8 people that signed up. So let's begin. The first person is Elijah Casas.
Good morning, Judge,
Good
Commissioners.
morning, sir.
This morning, I'd like to thank you all for lending your ear and your time to the open forum and the concerns of the community. I present myself as a messenger and a concerned citizen of District 41. And discussion among the community has revealed that there are concerns with proposed county projects, particularly the new county courthouse. The concerns that have been revealed are the cost of this project.
Is what, sir?
The cost of the proposed project. Residents have revealed that they are concerned that in order to pay for such a project, property taxes will be affected. In addition, property values will increase while tax rates remain the same. This will also affect local businesses and will also affect the cost of goods and products sold, which will have detrimental consequences and effects among the community. Now, the concern is that according to the Finance Department, 30% of citizens can't pay their taxes on time, which equal out to about $2.1 million in additional fees. This is something that the community has asked for me to refer to you as members of the community and active listeners. What the people ask for is to really look at the demographics of the region. Hidalgo County is one of the poorest, top 3 poorest regions in the state and as a nation as a whole. Now, when we look at our unemployment rate, we'll see that we face a 12% unemployment rate, and a lot of our citizens are actually stuck at 29-hour work weeks. Now, for them to face a possible increase in taxes to offset the cost of such a project, it's concerning. So at this point, I would actually like to ask you to really allow the people to have a voice in this project, in this proposal, and actually have a vote on it, to go back to your precincts and have discussions with them as to what their suggestions would be and how you can better serve and continue to serve our county. Thank you. It's my time.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Next presenter is Keisha Rogers.
Hello, thank you very much for having me. And I'm Keisha Rogers, and I stand here to represent the community and those constituents throughout the state of Texas. And I would like to address the hospital district. I want to take this from a different angle, though, from the standpoint of, first of all, to start with the discussion on a national and global scale. And I will start by saying that the entire financial system is on a Titanic, which is sinking. It is being hit. The iceberg is being hit right now since 2007, and so far we have not gotten on the lifeboat of the Constitution. And there are no local solutions in Hidalgo County to what we're facing right now with the continuous financial and economic collapse. You have, instead, every county in Texas and every state in America is trying to rearrange the decks on the deck chairs on the Titanic and trying to find a room that is not already going underwater. We cannot tax or budget cut our way back into a recovery. It has never worked and it will never work. So therefore, I stand opposed to the Affordable Care Act and recognize that what we're proposing here with the hospital districts is a part of that. This is more profits for the insurance companies, and that the idea that the legislation of the Affordable Care Act is to give poor people more for less is a fraud. That's why the banking insurance companies entities wants to tax the poor, while the whole for-profit insurance companies and too big to fail banks make a killing off the population. This Affordable Care Act policy is a useless eater's policy to put cost-effective measures on health care and human lives. You look at McAllen, you look at Hidalgo County, it's the poorest population and vastly underserved medically and has been targeted for cutting medical care. This is only one example of the targeting which is happening in the population on behalf of the statisticians who have targeted the chronically ill, elderly, and poor. So this policy will not work. The only solution is a federal policy, reinstatement of Glass-Steagall banking reorganization, stop the bailouts of the Wall Street insurance companies, stop the profits of the insurance companies and the profits of the for-profit hospital districts. And this is a call for a separation of tax from the taxes. This is a return to the constitutional principle of our United States system. And I will end by saying that Secretary the first Treasury Secretary of the United States, Alexander Hamilton, said that one must never take on a debt you do not have the means to extinguish. Our nation is sinking under $1.5 quadrillion in Wall Street debt. Until we throw out Wall Street overboard and get back to the Constitution, Hidalgo County will continue to sink. Thank you.
Thank you. Next presenter is Larry Smith.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. My name is Larry Smith. I'm a combat veteran. I'm also a Purple Heart recipient. I'm also the Republican candidate for the 34th Congressional District. And I need to talk to some people here real quick. This is not about being Republicans or Democrats. Folks, we need American solutions. Everybody here is an American citizen. We are all subject to the Constitution of the United States. We're all protected by the Constitution of the United States. These men here right now.
Can you speak into the microphone?
I'm sorry. These men here right now are doing their best for the communities to protect them from what is going on at the national level. The hospital district is a result of trying to protect these communities from the fallout from the Affordable Care Act, which is not affordable. What is happening is your property taxes are going up a very, very significant amount, and you are incurring the responsibility for the continued economic depression of the Rio Grande Valley in regards to healthcare costs. Nothing is coming from the federal government to help, and that's why your property taxes are going up. They're going up. Folks, we are the third poorest county in the state of Texas. Cameron County and Willacy follow right behind Hidalgo. And the 34th District has a large portion of that population. We cannot afford $1,000 more in property taxes per year for these people. They cannot afford $100 more per month. The rate of foreclosures and the rate of cost of living increases is gonna have significant impact down here because we do not have any industry or transportation, energy, construction, and manufacturing base to justify a property tax increase. You're not getting anything else for a property tax increase. You're just protecting what you have. And when you protect what you have, you're gonna lose it eventually if you do not encourage those types. The state and federal representatives of South Texas are not doing their jobs in protecting the citizens of the Rio Grande Valley. They are not allowing you guys to do your jobs more effectively. It is not about being Republicans or Democrats. It's about acting and treating each other like American citizens. The party politics and the party rhetoric, the straight line votes are killing our communities. And I would ask that we really need to pay very particular attention into how to come up with effective solutions for these communities that do not result in the poorest people of Texas having to pay more for less. Thank you.
Next presenter is Opal Billman.
Good morning. My name is Opal Billman. In May of 1996, 18 years ago in Hidalgo County, I was sued for divorce. My husband and I own 72 acres of land with capital improvements, debt-free. If the issue had been about a divorce settlement and final divorce decree, the matter would have been simple and over. The issue was and still is about the real estate owned debt-free by two people. The court declared our community property to be excess land with no value, which could not be divided, and kept our community property intact, refused to divide it, appointed a manager for it, organized two corporations, and is claiming that our community property belongs to the corporations. October 23, 2007, cause number CCD 1473E, a document titled Agreed Final Judgment, is signed by two lawyers and a judge and contends the court, through the corporation, sold two parcels of our land to the city of Mission for $280,000. The document also claims the corporation reserved all mineral rights. Mineral rights cannot be reserved by an organization or a person who have never owned the land. There is no law that allows the court to divide and sell our community property to a third party in a divorce process, but there are laws that prohibit it. Secrecy is deceit. Deceit is fraud. I found out about this so-called sale about 3 weeks ago when I requested public information from the city. I own an undivided 1/2 of this land. I have sold none of my land, and I have received no money for my land. There are agencies that can seize property: Homeland Security, the IRS, the police, but they must have the habeas corpus, in other words, the body, or in other words, the evidence for the seizure. The seizure of private property by the government must be public. The Fourth Amendment prohibits the seizure without a warrant. The government cannot take private property and then instigate a witch hunt, entangling the property in as many knots as possible, all for the purpose of taking it for free. I made an abstract of the purchase of our land that is floating around out there someplace. It is my opinion that Homeland Security has it. If it is for the purpose of charging that Joe and I bought 80 acres of land, we did. I hope they also make it a point to gather all of the evidence of the overtime hours with Southwestern Bell and our projects, which we did to pay for this land. Also, as far as the IRS is concerned, they audited our tax returns every year. And the police have held me in false imprisonment confined off land that I own for 17 years in the United States of America. Let's at least mention the real issue here. Joe and I dredged a lake on land that has been owned by Billmans for 72 years. The lake and the mineral rights belong to Joe and me. The mineral rights would be for water, sand, gravel, natural gas, and crude. This privately owned lake itself has already become an item of interest for the irrigation district and the city for the drainage of floodwaters, and I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Next presenter is Juan Garcia. Mr. Garcia. All right. Next presenter then is Fern McClarty.
Good morning. I see today on 6B, you're going to have a proclamation to declare May as Elderly Abuse Prevention Month. I just had a birthday. I'm elderly now. So I just wanted everyone to know, let's not just have 1 month when y'all are deciding on spending money and building a new courthouse and the rail district and the hospital and things, that you'll think about the elderly. Because some of you are right behind me, I hate to tell you. So you're going to be in the same position I'm in. So on 6E, you're talking about development of funding for a medical school in the Lower Rio Grande Valley. You're looking at 10D, the health care funding district and expenditures that you're looking at. Again, like I say, you're pouring it on the elderly. And I know you're going to say, well, your property or whatever, but the properties still go up. And it still costs us. And everything and every time that y'all spend something, it costs us. And then I see on 17A in the budget and management today, presentation of 2015 budget process calendar and the approval of 2015 budget process developed criteria. That means that's how much you're planning on spending in 2015. And again, like I say, y'all think it's so important to have a month. How about the years that go by that every time y'all raise taxes, I'm sorry, that's elderly abuse. And then there's some young children that were here today, and then I think last week, that wanted to know about the projects. They were so excited. Someone had told them that y'all were doing projects, but no one told them they were going to pay for those projects. I wished one day that we could let them stay a little longer so we could educate them, so maybe their eyes wouldn't be quite so bright when they look up at y'all. Because they do. And as the elderly, their eyes get dimmer, but we still look up to y'all to do the right thing. Thank you.
Next presenter is Frank Travers.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Thanks for giving us some time.
Morning, sir.
As you're starting the budget process, which is on the agenda this week, it got me thinking about some things that I have been exposed to in budgeting. At one time, I was a controller at Texas Instruments. When I searched the internet, I found this article quoting from it: "Once upon a time, a business annual budget was drawn up on the basis of the previous year's budget. It would probably be related in some indeterminate way to the rate of inflation or the company's overall strategy or the manager's frame of mind. For many years, it was acknowledged that this was not an ideal way to allocate a company's scarce financial resources. In the general area of budgeting, nobody came up with anything better until Peter Farr, a manager at Texas Instruments in Dallas, developed the zero-based budgeting idea. Each year, he prepared in budgets in detail as if they had not even existed the year before. Every assumption had to be rethought from scratch and then justified. I was at Texas Instrument at that time as a division manager and been not following everything every year, but I was interested in how all this had developed. It has mostly been used in an experimental basis, went through a heyday in the 70s and 80s, and then died out, and mostly governmental agencies have been the ones that have picked it up and have been interested in it. And for a while, that cooled off, but now there seems to be a recent development of resurgence in interest. Now, the details of zero-based budgeting, if it's included in the entire budget process, requires a lot of paperwork and is fairly expensive, and there's almost no examples of any governmental agency or companies that use it across the board. But the elements of decision-making and allocating funds, pieces of it have been picked up and are widely interested. I found another article, which is a well-written and well-organized one. It's based on a research study that was funded by the Government Finance Officers Association. It's fairly comprehensive, includes a lot of research, a lot of surveys, and detail as to how it works. If you want to even, since a lot of companies, a lot of governmental agencies are looking at this technique, and if you want to, at all interested in seeing what's going on and want any information on it, I'd be glad to get this article, a copy for each of you. In it, it could answer almost any question you might have as to how it works, who's using it, detailed names and examples. You could look at the brief conclusions if you had 3 to 5 minutes just to have a general background in it, or if you wanted to go into detail and know exactly how it works. It all would be in this one article. So if you'd like copies of it, if you want to even look at this as a possibility as your budget cycle comes on, I'd be glad to provide copies of this for you. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next presenter is Nathan Schwartz.
Yes. It says a governmental body may be required to pay 3 times the difference if it is determined that a requester overpaid because the governmental body refused or failed to follow the Attorney General rules and charges were not calculated in good faith. The Public Information Act establishes criminal penalties for both the release of information that must not be disclosed and the withholding of information that must be disclosed. The county, through Yvonne Ramon, has ignored public information requests that I initiated on the 9th of April, and I requested 6 items or event logs from the elections. I have handouts that I provided back to you, but on April 16th, the county's attorneys, Atlas and Hall, responded saying that the information I requested was not available. And the county also provided 3 budget estimates, or 3 estimates for the materials that I requested, which are deficient according to the Attorney General guidelines. They do not item by item indicate the items I requested, and they are also not for the materials that I requested. Secretary of State Circular number 2012-03 specifically states that the materials I requested should be available on a compact disc. So the material is available, and and I have initiated an appeal with the Attorney General requesting this material. The county can cure the default by providing this material to me before the Attorney General responds. And so I'm notifying the county that this process has been initiated, and if Yvonne Ramon can be ordered to comply with my request, then the county can cure itself of this deficiency. Thank you.
I just want to, I feel compelled to remind our community that this court has rejected and refused to increase the tax rate for the last 12 consecutive years. All right, let's move on to item number 6A.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Yolanda Chapa with County Judge's Office. We wanted to introduce to you Erica Reina Velasquez, our Director of Special Projects. Even though Erica is well-known by all of you and she has worked for the county before, but we feel so strongly about the position that she currently holds that we felt that we wanted to spotlight her and let her talk to you about what she's done. You approved this position on February 11th, and what's unique about this, it's a joint position that's funded through the County Judge's Office and the Department of Budget and Management. The purpose of the creation of this position was to have a staff member dedicated to the promotion and development of the budget initiatives identified to help balance the budget. This position is also working with all of Commissioners' Court offices and the county departments so that we can identify other projects other than what initiatives we've identified and opportunities to reduce expenditures and promote the adoption of a balanced budget. Erica worked for the county from 2006 to 2011. Mr. Siliero likes to remind me that he's the one that hired her first. She has a master's degree in public administration. And before she came back to work for the county, she worked as a policy analyst for the lobbying firm of Mr. René Ramirez, which specializes in state legislative issues. This is Erica Reina.
Good morning.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. It's a pleasure to rejoin the Hidalgo County family. I am very excited for this opportunity and to be back here. As you well know, there's a report before you on the latest on the initiatives. The Department of Budget and Management has made a lot of progress, and we are now focusing on the implementation phase of the 2014 budget initiatives. There is a lot of progress to report on these. We will be coming before you one-on-one on these initiatives. And as a matter of fact, good news, we have 2 action items in today's Commissioners' Court agenda. One of them under Mr. Valdeguerra, which is a partnership with the State Energy Conservation Office. And this will help us work on our electricity rate payments. The second one is the identification of additional properties for sale, which should bring additional revenue to the county. I look forward to working with you and your chiefs of staff and any input and guidance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Next item. 6B.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Hilda Salinas with Hidalgo County Public Affairs. Proclamation declaring May 2014 as Elder Abuse Prevention Month. At this time, I ask Adult Protective Services Gustavo Salinas, Community Initiative Specialist, and Belinda Cantu, APS Specialist, to come to the podium.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Thank you very much for having us this morning and for helping us create awareness of adult abuse here in the county and the state of Texas. At Adult Protective Services, our mission is to protect the elderly and disabled adults from abuse, neglect, and exploitation. So we urge the community, anybody out there that suspects any kind of abuse with this population, to report it to us. It is a free and confidential call, 1-800-252-5400. We are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So make sure that you report any suspected abuse Again, we're here to serve you. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll need to entertain a motion to approve the proclamation.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
They want a picture.
Thank you.
All right, item 6C. Mike, are you going to be presenting on it? No? It's discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding nominations to the Rio Grande Regional Water Planning.
Yes, sir. We're bringing forth, considering possible action, nominating one county commissioner to the Rio Grande Regional Water Planning Group. And at this time, Judge, you had a recommendation.
All right, is this the one that Commissioner Cuellar was?
Yes,
Commissioner A.C. Cuellar would be our nominee.
yes, it's a nomination.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Congratulations.
Take care of us, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Okay, item 6D.
We're not going to take any action on 6D nor on 6E. That was short.
All right. Item 7, Mr. Guerra.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. There's no action under item 7A, 1 and 2 unless there's action to be taken further down the agenda. Item 7B, Judge, we're going to have a full report next week, but I do want to just let the court know that there was a couple of issues that we resolved this past week, minor floor issue. We resolved that issue. There is some action further down the agenda under Marty's department for a CCD, but we will have a full report next week outlining and detailing what we worked out and how that impacts the overall project. But everything is still rolling along, as they say. There's nothing under 2 and 3 as well, B2 and 3. Item C, I'm asking the court to accept the settlement check from Home State County Mutual Insurance Company in the amount of $97.50, and this will settle an auto accident with one of our county vehicles.
For approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item D, as Erica mentioned earlier, discussion authorization approval to submit the preliminary energy assessment service agreement form to the State Energy Conservation Office, which the acronym is SECO. Again, as she stated, this is one of our initiatives, and I do believe that this will yield quite a bit of energy savings on the county's part. So I'm asking.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. Item 8C for Constable Precinct 1, I know that they had the delay coming over to the courtroom. So if I may, they're requesting approval to process the following 2 billing periods as claims. Again, this is with the authority of the county treasurer to issue payment after review, audit, and processing procedures are completed by our county auditor. First one is Verizon Southwest, and it's for telephone lines 5907 and 969-5918. First one was 969-5907. The period is February through March, $244.74, and March 2014 through April 2014, $132.72.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Mr. Guerra, are these claims that are going to be brought into a contract or?
I'm going to defer to Mr. Ramirez. I know he Mr. Ramirez has informed me that they were at the point where everything was being bundled.
The only thing that is on no contract is hard lines and the Westlaco area by Verizon, which are the dedicated circuits. There is no contract for that. So we'd have to roll them in as claims, but I just noted that, and I'm gonna see if we can do a different provider. So I'll get that squared away. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Item B is for precinct 4.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Good morning, sir.
Judge, we're here on A1-44350, Constable Precinct 4. Discussion and consideration and approval for Hidalgo County Constables Precinct 4, continued participation in the Texas 1033 Surplus Program, property program. I understand, Judge, that this program needs to be updated every year, so we get
Yes,
to
sir. We
continue.
have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Judge. Commissioners.
Item 9, our DA's office.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. We're requesting approval of appropriation of funds for the grand jury account in the amount of $110,000.
Judge, I have a question regarding this. My understanding these expenditures are related to candidates that had contested the election results. And are we going to ask those individuals to reimburse the county for those expenses?
I don't think that that's correct. I don't believe that these funds are,
That's not correct, Judge. These funds are being used by the grand jury in conduction of an investigation, and they've made a recommendation as to the vendor they're going to be using in connection with the investigation. It was approved by the court that's overseeing that grand jury.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
In regards to this investigation, obviously it's criminal. At what point does this become public record and for use on some of these civil proceedings that are happening?
While it's with the grand jury, it remains secret. It's a secret process. Now, if it becomes a case after the grand jury has completed their investigation, if a case is to be filed, at that point, it will become public. Now, we spoke with the judge's office yesterday, and he advised us that we could make the order public that was issued last week.
now, can you clarify what judge's office?
Yes, and that is the judge that's overseeing the grand jury, and that is the 430th District Court, Judge Israel Ramon.
Steve, I was going to ask you, since I loaned one of the guys that contested one of the elections $5,000, that keeps me from voting on this?
I'd recommend you abstain.
Okay, that's the only question.
Judge, again, it is my understanding that this stemmed from the candidates contesting the results of the election.
I don't understand where you get that idea from. I mean, they're going to...
That's not accurate, Mr. Ofracio.
Well, Commissioner Flores just finished saying that he loaned money to an
No, I
individual.
loaned, they asked me for a favor, $5,000,
Right.
and I loaned him a check.
Right.
And apparently he used it to contest the election.
Right.
And that's it. The only thing I'm worried about is me voting on it and not being able to vote.
I think
So
the
that's
issue,
why I'm asking you.
that what's going on in the issue is that in the event the money is appropriated and allowed to be used, there will be an investigation. And depending on the results of the investigation, it may impact the election contests that have been filed. I believe that's really
Right.
what you're saying.
But there's a connection, right, Judge, between the...
Well, I mean, it's a connection, but it's not a direct connection. That doesn't deprive the grand jury of their authority and ability to investigate whatever they want to investigate.
Right.
That's a whole separate body, and these dollars are related to the grand jury being able to operate.
And just to be clear, these are seized gambling proceeds that are forfeited to the state and available for use by the grand jury in conducting their investigation under Article 1818 of the Code of Criminal Procedure.
And I don't think that there's the issue. The issue that I'm trying to bring up is the fact that all of these expenses are being incurred as a result of someone contesting an election.
That's not correct.
That is not, there are election contests that are either pending, have been dismissed, some are up on appeal. This is an investigation that is separate and apart from those cases.
All right.
There is also another impoundment matter that is a civil matter that is public, and that is the matter that put all of the election materials and machines under impoundment so that they would be kept under lock and key.
And if I may add, Mr. Frasco, this is a criminal investigation. Those other contests are civil cases.
That's correct.
And the action item for today is merely to transfer, it's a budgetary item to transfer funds. You're not taking a vote to conduct an investigation or move forward with an investigation. It's just a budget item.
And again, this is from confiscated money.
Yes, that's correct. It's seized funds from gambling proceeds.
Double.
Is there a second? Are there,
I will second, but with a comment, or actually a question. At any point, does the grand jury have the ability to seize whatever investigation, any professional testimony, any of this? What I'm concerned about is utilizing, going through this. I'm all for looking at the machines, assuring that if there's a criminal act, those need to be prosecuted. What I'm not so in favor of is using county or public funds of some sort for civil matters. The burden is on them to pursue those things. I'm just concerned. I want to assure that if there's anything we can do, I'm recommending that we do preserve that type of investigation, inspection.
And Commissioner, maybe this will help assure you that the funds are being used appropriately. The grand jury was given the opportunity to conduct an investigation or not to. So they could have made the choice not to proceed and not to use the funds to conduct the investigation, and they chose to go forward with the investigation.
And I respect that wholeheartedly, and I think that was a provision that I had initially, is if in fact a court, a judge, or a grand jury sees it fit, in support of it. So that's why I'm seconding it, but I'm just merely asking a question. Do they have the ability or the ability to not make it public, whatever the results are? Because we're using public funds for this.
Once the investigation
I'm
is
not
complete.
familiar with it, that's why I'm
right,
asking
well,
the
if there's
question.
ever been any issue that is going to be looked at and supervised by judges, we have Judge Aida Salinas Flores, we have Judge Israel Ramon, we have, I can't remember the name of the judges that are involved in the election contest, but there's at least two. So we got
there's only
4
one left,
district
no?
judges.
There's only one race left. I think it's tomorrow, no, the next one? The
Yeah,
last
there's
one?
only one left.
But you got to understand that the ruling that was made by one of the judges, not that it matters to this issue, but since it was brought up, he took it, basically said, I'm going to grant the summary judgment, but then I'm going to hold it in abeyance depending on what happens. So he still is reserving the right to go back into, in the event the investigation does in fact reveal some wrongdoing. That's the way I understood the judge's order. And they have, even after a judgment is entered, they have 45 days in which to undo that judgment and do whatever it is that they feel justice requires. But I don't think we want to get involved in doing anything that will directly impact or affect any of the election contests.
Well,
We're here.
Well, and I'm not suggesting that. That's why I'm making a second, for the mere fact that I believe that if there is and was a criminal act, then this is necessary, and obviously the grand jury granted it, they suggested it, the court's obviously wanting to move forward on it. I have no problem with it. My concern is to just open up Pandora's box that every time there's an election contest, we're going to be in the same situation. So I don't want. I'm concerned about the exposure of the county on future litigation against us.
I can tell you, Commissioner and Judge, that in the impoundment case, several of the contestants have asked to intervene and have asked to participate. The judge in that case, which was Judge Aida Salinas Flores, has told them that she will allow them to view and be present at an inspection, but as far as any participation in the investigation, we've made no representations that anybody will be able to be allowed to participate in that, because again, the grand jury process is secret, and so that investigation needs to go forward.
And the only other question I have, obviously we have a maintenance contract with that. I'm certain that they're going to follow all the necessary protocol that's needed for ES&S to be present when opening up these machines, to assure that we don't affect the maintenance contract to the machines.
That's correct, Commissioner. Ms. Ramon has expressed that concern, and Judge Aida assured her that ES&S would also be participating in that process.
Right.
And really, to your question, Commissioner, we don't know what the outcome of the grand jury investigation is going to be. If they know, Bill,
Yeah,
that...
and in my case, I'm not going against it. That's why I'm seconding it. My issue is the civil aspect, and criminal's altogether different. That's why I made a second.
And we've done our due diligence to separate the different matters, the impoundment case, this grand jury proceeding, from any of the election contests.
Right, and the only reason why I was concerned about it is because there had been comments made in court in regards to some of these contested races related to the action of the court. They're basing their judgment based on the action of the court. So in essence, they're already forecasting, that they're going to be looking at the results of this forensic specialist on utilizing public funds for that.
That may be something they would like to do, but again, the grand jury proceedings are going to be secret. They will have some initial access in the initial process, but after that, the consultants that the grand jury proceeds with will have that autonomy under the grand jury.
Right.
All right, did you make a second?
I did make a second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously except for Commissioner Flores, Precinct 3, who abstained.
Abstain.
Monica, can you bring one of those affidavits? All right, item 10, our Health Department.
Morning, Judge Commissioners. Eddie Olivares, Hidalgo County Health and Human Services. Item 10A, sir, is requesting approval to submit the renewal application for Public Health Emergency Preparedness Program FY15 in the amount of $567,198. This grant requires a 10% local funding match, which has already been allocated and approved by Budget Office and is part of our system in place already. I recommend this action.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Just for you to know, sir, on this, there was a $20,000 decrease in this funding. That's just the way the funding is working right now, and we're looking at some changes in one position in the near future, so there may be a position that will be eliminated as in process of what we've done in the past with grants since they don't get funded appropriately. Item 10B, sir, is requesting approval to accept the memorandum of agreement between Hidalgo County and the University of Texas Health Science Center at San Antonio. The aim of this agreement is to establish an agreement for the exchange of information and for cooperative research between both institutions in the field of reportable communicable diseases. This area deals in research dealing with tuberculosis and some of the other illnesses we deal with in our county, sir. This is every year we bring this interlocal or memorandum of understanding for us, back and forth.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item C, sir, I have to acknowledge the hard work of Mike Escaname and Ms. Lidia Serna, who work with us. We're able to get $60,000 additional on our Title V funding. That's what item C is requesting approval to accept Title V Parental Services Grant Contract Amendment Number 2014-044545-001A. The purpose of this amount is to increase the grant funded by $60,000. The effective date of this agreement this amendment is May the 6th, 2014. That's item 10C1.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 2 is requesting approval of the certification of revenue use as approved by the county auditor.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
And item 3 is requesting approval of the budget appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Sir, item 10.1, Healthcare Funding District. Discussion and action including but not limited to Healthcare Funding District and/or expenditures. So just letting you know, we're working with Mr. Fracio's office and working with Paul Verial at the tax office as well. We'll be looking at a drawdown from the Health Funding District, which is the hospital participation fee, at the end of May. So we're coordinating that effort. So we'll be coming to court again in the next week or two to formalize action for that. But I just wanted to give you an update on that that'll be coming in the next week or two. Questions or comments on that item? With your permission, sir, I'll move forward to 10E, Indigent Health Care Program. This is the Indigent Health and Human Services Department requesting approval to attend and participate in the county affairs. This is a hearing, affairs 1115 waiver hearing scheduled for May 15th, 2014 in Austin. I've been asked by the County Affairs Committee of the House of Representatives for the state of Texas to go before them and give an update on the 1115 waiver program here in South Texas. I'm just requesting permission to attend that hearing and to give testimony in regards to the current level of our participation.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item 2, sir, discussion and action, including but not limited to indigent healthcare program and/or 1115 waiver expenditures. Sir, as you know, through our budgetary action and agreement through budgetary action for 2014, there was a figure agreed upon with the hospitals that involved that this year we would look at an $8 million for indigent healthcare and $1 million debt that was owed to the hospitals. That was the agreement for this year, a total of $9 million. That date for that drawdown is coming again at the end of May. And I've been working with Mr. Cruz at Budget Office. Right now, the county has only allocated about $6 million in place for that $9 million. And right now, the initial indication is that that $9 million will not be reached. So the only appropriation that would be $6 million or maybe a little bit more of additional money is collected, but we won't be anywhere than $9 million. I just needed to let you all know that because that may come back to your desks in discussion from some of the hospitals. There is another October drawdown date this year in October that's been tentatively, and I want to say the word tentatively very clearly, scheduled by the state. And that may be the additional time where the additional monies may be sent in October. But at this point, I just need to give you a briefing. This is where we're at.
Well, how much money, Eddie, came into this area for the benefit of the hospitals as a result of our involvement and working in cooperation with them?
Well, under indigent healthcare program, it's 1.5. So for the money we submitted came out to about 27 million. We submitted last year from we look down and see the total fund, correction, 22 million. I made an error, 22 million. When you multiply it, that's under the former UPL program. Now, when you look at the health funding district, that was the item before us, that's when we collect from the hospitals in fees or tax. And then that one was, we collected right around 44 million this last quarter. So by the end of this year, it'll be like 130 million approximately by the time it's all said and done throughout the year. So there's significant income coming in from that.
Is that 130 in addition to the 2022?
Yes, correct. But that 130, sir, would come directly from the hospital fee that are collected from the hospital revenue itself. The item, the one I was talking about, the 22, the 6 million, the 9 million that we've agreed to, that would be general fund. That's general fund. And that was actually, there was an agreement made in the budgetary process that the county was able to work with the hospitals. And there was I think, Mr. Horacio, about 4 million that was agreed upon that it would not be covered, that they would be disallowed by the hospitals to move forward just to continue this project.
That's correct. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Item 11, our Community Service Agency.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. I bring before you the Comprehensive Energy Assistance Program contract, also to be spent in FY 2014. These are unexpended dollars from 2013 statewide and reallocated to us by their funding formula. We have, in our contract, we are going to be receiving $848,234 to be spent in addition to the 4.4 that was already approved earlier this year.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Ma'am. Item 12, our IT department.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Presenting the claims that were tried to present last week. These are Verizon phones, cellular phone service for Commissioner Precinct 2. And what happens is there had been an issue with the paperwork last year on the request, and they had time to limit it, the request. The request expired. At this point in time, they're working on their new request, but we do need to get these bills submitted as claims to get paid so they can continue with their service. We're working on correcting the paperwork issue with the precinct.
Can we process invoices through a normal process instead of bringing them as claims?
Oh, absolutely, and that's the goal. In this particular case, I'm not exactly sure how this got away, but we are working with the office to make sure that they're caught up, get the paperwork correct so we don't have to go through this every year. And we've caught up with everybody else, I want to say.
Except Precinct 2?
Yes, sir. Requesting approval on this item.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, have a great morning.
Item 13, Urban County. Good morning, Ms. Hill.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Our first item on the agenda has to do with the Delta Area Connector for the East Lateral. We're requesting the approval of land acquisition for parcel 15.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Our next item is a public hearing, Judge, regarding the 2014-2015 Urban County One-Year Action Plan that needs to be submitted to HUD prior to May 15th.
We need to hold the public hearing.
Oh, I know, but I mean, go ahead and open it up.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye. No, Judge,
Aye.
we need to
Oh, it's a
open
public hearing.
Yeah, open
Yes,
it
sir.
up.
All right, at this time, we're going to convene a public hearing to discuss the 2014-2015 Hidalgo County Urban County Programs One-Year Action Plan for year 27. Is there anyone here that desires to make any comments either in favor of or against this issue?
If I may, Judge, I'd like to indicate that the annual funding for 2014 is going to be $9,909,868. $7,581,120 is coming from the CDBG program. $1,700,924 is coming from the home program, and $627,824 is coming from the emergency shelter grant program. During the time that we had a comment period, I did receive one letter from Proyecto Azteca requesting that the county consider allocating additional funding for the SHOTO program versus the funding that is recommended for under the home program. Their request is that because there is a tremendous need, they're requesting that the court consider taking some of the funding that's presented to you here and reallocating additional money to the SHOTO. I don't know, I understood that, Mr.
Anyone
Garza.
else desiring to make any comments? There being none, at this time, we're going to close this public hearing and proceed on to item 13C.
13C is the approval of the resolution authorizing the County of Hidalgo Urban County Program to submit its 2014-2015 Annual Action Plan to HUD and authorize the county judge to sign any and all documents related to the funding.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Our final item is requesting the approval to recertify the Affordable Homes of South Texas, also known as OSTI, as a community housing development organization, SHOTO. We have to do this annually so that we can have documentation that meets the qualifications.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item 2 on this agenda item is requesting the approval to execute the 2012 Home SHOTO contract for the Affordable Homes of South Texas.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 14, planning.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Raul Singh, Planning Administrator.
Morning,
First
sir.
item is Sunflower Garden Subdivision Precinct 4. This is a development located in Precinct 4. It's for 69 single-family lots. It's for preliminary approval, subject to future comments from other departments. It has been reviewed by all the county departments. It has gone before advisory board. My office is recommending preliminary approval, subject to anything that happens from now before getting final, and then we'll bring that back for recommendation at that point. It's in order for preliminary.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
The second item is Tierra del Sol Acres Phase 1 subdivision is Precinct 3, located up in the northwest portion of the county. This also has been reviewed by the various county departments as 29-lot single-family development. It's in order for preliminary approval. The advisory board is also recommending preliminary approval, subject to future comments for receiving.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 2 would be final approval of Contra Heights Unit 3. It's a 64 single-family development located in Precinct 4. They have constructed all the requirements, or everything has been built in the development. We've inspected. Also, the health department has inspected. All the departments have conducted their inspections, and everything is in order for final approval. The advisory board is also recommending final in my office as well.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Next item is La Joya Independent School District Middle School number 8. This is located in Precinct 3, and it has been inspected by my department and the various county departments. They have fully constructed, and it's in order for the final approval. Advisory board is also recommending final approval.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 3 would be the reimbursement cash deposit of Trinity subdivision. This was a one-lot subdivision that received approval with a cash deposit for the OSSF. That has been installed, and we have the inspection letter from the health department. It's reimbursement of $1,500, and everything's in order for the reimbursement.
Move for approval.
Recommend approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Item 15, Precinct 2.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Raul Siliero, Precinct 2, representing Commissioner Palacios. Item 15A reads, requesting approval to process the following invoice as a claim with authority for the county treasurer to issue payment after review, audit, and processing procedures are completed by the county auditor. This is a claim from the Advanced Publishing Company, invoice number 140108 in the amount of $378.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item 16, Precinct 3.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Item 16A, Precinct 3, Road Maintenance, approval of 2014 appropriation of funds into Precinct 3 Road Maintenance Program 005 in the amount of $400,578.46 to fund operating expenditures.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sergio, there is no such thing as a Precinct 3 fund balance, right?
Bingo, don't drop the ball.
The 1,200 is for the...
It's a road and bridge fund
road and
balance.
bridge fund, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Sergio Cruz, Department of Budget Management. Item 17A, 1 and 2 is a presentation of the 2015 budget process calendar and the budget process developmental criteria that we'll be using in developing our budget for 2015. Pages 3 and 4 of the handout that were just given to you have the budget calendar. Basically, we just wanted to advise the court and advise departments and elected officials that we'll be starting the budget process already. We'll be sending out notices later on today advising the departments that we will be opening up the budget application program for budget submittals beginning tomorrow, and we'll have them open for 3 weeks. After that, we'll be visiting with each of the departments, going over the budget requests. As far as the criteria that we want to use for developing the budget and also for having the departments submit would be that there would, for departments to limit their budget request to their existing budget that they have right now. We foresee that we'll be in a similar situation during this budget process we were last year. Again, revenues, although they are expected to increase, there will still be not sufficient revenues to be able to cover the current expenses that we have right now. So we will need to, again, limit the expenditures for the county. We'll be requesting that no personnel requests be considered, again, by the court, as there will not be sufficient funding for new personnel or position reclassifications. Again, we'll probably request from the court that we forego any scheduled increases that we have, such as the law enforcement step increases that we have on our pay plan. Also, any cost of living adjustments due to the consumer price index that we utilize. Again, we will ask the court that we forego those as well, given the budget shortfall.
Also, we'll be presenting the court a list of vacant positions that we have that we'll be requesting the court to delete during the budget process, and also present to the court different scenarios as far as reductions in force or either furloughs that the court can utilize to be able to meet that budget gap. We will be looking at several different individual line items, such as public and legal defense, looking at perhaps establishing a different public defense system within the child welfare cases. We will be continue to look at the general litigation accounts and the room and boards, both in the adult detention facility and the juvenile detention facility, as both of those have increased over the last year. Fuel and gasoline, again, continues to be high cost for the county. And also, we would want the court to look at the current auxiliary courts and the visiting judges that we have right now. Currently, the visiting judges hear the criminal cases, that the overflow that the district judges have. So we would like the court to consider maybe looking at establishing or petitioning the legislature for 2015 to establish criminal district courts within Hidalgo County. Currently, we already staff the two auxiliary courts. So county is already paying for the auxiliary courts, and we're also paying for the visiting judges. We were to establish, if we could petition the legislature to create the two criminal district courts, then the state would take care of the funding for the judge, and that would be savings to the county, where we would not have to pay for the judges at that point. We'll also be visiting electricity. That again, our contract would be, I think, terminates next year, so we need to start planning now as far as who our new provider would be, or purchasing blocks of electricity today. That way we can get it at a lower cost. And then also we'll be reviewing grants that will be expiring next fiscal year, and looking to see whether we need to continue those grants. We do ask each of the grant employees to sign an acknowledgement, or that if their the grant funding expires, then the court would look at terminating some of those positions or eliminating some of those positions. So we just start looking at those now, see how we can execute that. And also, again, we'll be looking to look at the governmental and non-governmental funding that the county provides for these other agencies, and look at reducing that further. This year we did do a 25% reduction. We're looking to see if we could continue that, or possibly eliminate the funding altogether. Judge, Commissioners, do y'all have any questions?
The only question is, compared to this coming year, how much are you expecting growth?
In growth, we've talked to the appraisal district. They've mentioned anywhere to about 5% in valuation growth for this fiscal year. They had mentioned that last fiscal year as well, so we're not using that in our budgetary development. We're looking at a 3% valuation growth. Last year we had a 2.2.
How much did we have last year?
2.2.
All right.
2.2% valuation growth last year. So for this budget cycle, we're looking, as far as on our planning, we're looking at 3% growth, and that's what we're basing our budget right now. We should get certified totals in late July. So, I mean, we're hoping that we do realize that 5% increase or more. However, as far as for planning purposes, we're only going under the assumption of a 3% increase.
Sergio.
Yes, sir.
With respect to what you're planning your budget on 3%, and if they come in at 5%, just want to make sure that the court understands or is informed that you still have budget issues for 2015.
Yes, above and beyond that increase, even at the 5%, we would still have a budget deficit that we would need to address.
Give me a number, más o menos.
That we're looking at right now?
Yeah.
Based on our initial planning, and we'll have a better picture by the end of this month, we're looking at about a $6 to $7 million deficit.
That's what I figured, yeah.
To begin that year.
How much, Sergio?
6 to
7%.
Maybe 10.
That would be keeping everything the way we have it right now.
That's
There'd
not
be
getting anything out of the general fund or anything, right?
Excuse me?
That's not getting anything out of our general fund like we did last year, and not short funding anything.
No, that would include, the $6-7 million deficit would mean that would be the drawdown from the general fund if we were to do nothing. Would also include Also doing some short budgeting. For this fiscal year, we short budgeted roughly $6 million that we expect to make up during the course of the fiscal year. That's one of the items that Mr. Olivares mentioned earlier on the UPL. We short budgeted that item. We're making that up with the salaries lapses due to vacancies. We're sweeping those and putting those into that UPL account.
Well, actually, it's not 15. If we really go, it'll be about 16, 17 million.
If we were to not short budget everything, we'll
If
probably.
you're not short budget, tap into our general fund, and everything would be about 16 to 18 million.
About 12 million, 12 to 13 million.
That's not getting anything out of general fund.
Yeah, that's what we need to generate.
Short funding anything.
Yes, we would either need to eliminate about $12 million worth of expenditures or raise some other type
Yeah.
of revenue,
So
$12 million.
if you don't delete those $4 million, it'll be 16 then, right? You're talking about
The short budget items?
yes.
Yeah, if we put back those short budget items, actually it would bring it back from 7.
'Cause I remember last year it was about
Close.
21 million
It's about
total. That
$21
was-
million short last
That was a pie in the sky.
So from 21, now you went to 16, Sergio?
Excuse me?
Last year, you were $21 million.
We started the budget process with the $21 million deficit, projected deficit that we were looking at. However, when we started looking at that 21 million, we had included the step increase, we had included cost of living for employees. All of those expenses were included in the 21 million. That's why in developing our budget this time, we're not going to include those right now, knowing that we're not going to have enough money for them, so why include them? That's
So,
where
in other
our
words,
projections are going.
no
at 7
cost of
million.
living for
No cost of
employees,
living,
no
no step
nothing.
increase, no reclassification of positions, no new positions.
But I guarantee you, if we give everything they want, it'll be about 18, 20 million, right?
It'd probably be more if we
More
give.
than that.
Yes. We had several $1 million in the operating requests that we received last year. I think it was in excess of $4 million in position requests that we had last year. That way, there's no need to start looking at that. There's just looking at, keeping what we have, we'll be starting off roughly about $7 million shortfall. So there's no need to look at new positions, no new reclassifications, even no new expenditures within the departments.
Now, Judge,
Sergio,
Yes, sir.
last year, you were $21 million short, right?
Correct.
So now.
Last year, we adopted a budget of roughly $11.5 million shortfall.
Well, I think.
That was a budget adoption.
In the beginning, I seem to remember a $21 million number.
Yes, the first presentation was $21 million projected shortfall.
So this year, it's what, 16, you said, possibly?
Right now, we're projecting a $7 million shortfall. That includes short budgeting, $4 million worth of anticipated expenses that we would hope to make up during the course of the fiscal year.
So the $21 million last year, what is it this year?
You can't compare it, because last year, 21 million was something everybody wanted, that we
Well,
couldn't
right,
afford
no,
to
but
give.
you're saying he's not going to give everyone that.
Correct.
What they want, so 21 was last year, so what is it this year? That's what I'm trying to
About
figure
the
out.
same, if we would go
If
back.
we were to include everything, single item that we had last year, it'd probably be roughly about the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only difference is right now, he's thinking about not giving nobody nothing anymore.
So what is that amount? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
11 to 12 million right now, so.
Minus the 4, the
minus-
short budget.
yeah.
So the 21 is now what?
Now, the reason you short budget is because you anticipate, obviously, savings.
Correct. We always lapse anywhere between $4 to $5 million in salaries because of vacancies. Again, this year, we instituted a 90-day rolling freeze, so we expect that vacancy to be extended, hence the savings that we receive from that would also increase. And that's why we short budgeted some of the items that we have.
Last year, we short budgeted 8 million.
Last year, we short budgeted $6 million.
There was one for Eddie or some.
Yes, Mr. Olivares, the UPL program, we had committed to $9 million
Yeah.
contribution for the UPL. We budgeted only $5 million for that, and we also short budgeted some of our public defense and
But
our,
we've made that money up already.
we've only made up $1.2 million
That's
in
not
our.
what Mr. Ofracio said here about 2 months ago. When I asked you, you said, we've made up that money.
No, what
Last year's.
I said was that, remember there was a $10 million difference between his estimated and mine? And what I reported was that we made up that 10 million. In other words, the amount that we have as far as the fund balance is what he projected.
Are we going to be able to make that money up by the end of the year?
For this year, yes, we'll be able to make up that short budgeted item. Again, this year, we started off with a shortfall of roughly $11.5 million. We only expect to make up about $6 to $6.5 million. We do expect that we will have a drawdown reduction this year of roughly about $5 million, $5.5 million that we will actually draw down from the fund balance. Last year in 2013, we adopted a $17 million deficit budget. We ended up having only about a $200,000 deficit after the course of the year. However, this year that $200,000 is not going to be the case. It's going to be realized similar to what we had projected during the budget process, roughly about $5.5 million drawdown. Right now, our fund balance stands around $23 million. That's taking down the $11 million that we used for this budget cycle. We expect to be able to make up roughly about $6 million.
Last year at this time, our fund balance was 27 million?
Roughly about 28, 29, I believe,
Yeah.
yes.
So we're about $5 million shorter this year in our fund balance compared to last year.
Commissioner, and the $10 million that we talked about earlier was that Sergio was estimating that we were going to generate more revenues and spend less money.
Yeah.
And I normally don't do that. I do the opposite. I estimate that I'm conservative in the estimation of revenues and not conservative, liberal on the expenses, because we don't know what we're going to spend.
Yeah.
So there was a $10 million difference, but he came right on point, that we made up $10 million.
All I know is we got a lot of work to do.
And although that was the case, Judge Commissioners, that's really not, and I expect that to be the case this year, that's really not the way we want to develop our budget in adopting deficit budgets and hoping that we make it up during the course of the year. We should strive to develop a balanced budget, and then everything that comes in excess or that we don't spend, then that can be used to shore up our fund balance, to do one-time projects, vehicles, things like that. I mean, we started a vehicle replacement program in 2008. We funded that 1 year. However, we haven't funded that since. So our fleet, is aged. So those are some things that we need to be replacing, which some of those excess revenues will be able to take care of some of those things. That's where we want to get to. Sadly, at this point, we still have not recovered from the recession that we had in 2008, 2009. So we're still having to work through that.
We got one more belt tightening year at least.
Yes, at least I think we would, if we can keep our belts tightened this year, hopefully for 2016, we'll be looking at better things. Again, we're still looking at different initiatives to bring in additional revenues to the county, still looking where we can save. What our goal is to be able to save and bring in enough money that hopefully maybe during middle of next year would be able to present to the court. Maybe at that point we can do a mid-year cost of living adjustment. That's what we're still striving for. Again, last year's cost of living was roughly about 3%. It hasn't gone much higher since then. It's probably about another 0.5%. So we're trying to see what we can do so that hopefully maybe next year we can target and give some type of cost of living once we have a plan to develop a balanced budget.
Sergio, what you said earlier about the basis for developing the budget, there's a discussion we had with the rating agencies. I don't know if you remember recently. So they look at that real closely, rating agencies, and that is going to make the difference in the amount of interest you're going to pay when you borrow money.
Yes.
Remember?
They are looking at that very closely. They did mention, the good management that we've done, that we've been able to be able to close that gap within our deficits during the past 4 or 5 budget cycles. Since 2009, we started adopting a deficit budget. We've been able to close that gap. Actually, during the early years, we were able to add additional funds to the fund balance to where it's grown to the amount that it was probably 2 years ago. Since then, we've been taking away from that fund balance. So yes, there's still a lot of work to do, but we are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. But there's still some belt tightening that needs to be done, and we'll over the course of the next few months we'll present more items to the court.
So you want us to approve these 7 items and the development criteria?
Yes, Judge. Requesting approval of the development criteria for the 2015 budget process.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item 17B1 is authorization to approve the CUC Tyler Technologies amended implementation plan in order to correct the funding source amount that was included in the last attachment. Basically, last attachment that was approved by court included the funding source to be from general fund. We're requesting that we change that to the JP Technology Fund. If we could just have approval of that revision.
Move for approval.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item 17B2 is authorization for use of the county's Justice Court Technology Fund for the purchase of a case management software for the JP offices. We'll be upgrading for the current AbleTerm system to the new Odyssey system, and hopefully we'll be able to have greater reporting capabilities with that system and be able to.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 17.
Sergio.
Yes, sir.
Renan, with respect to that Justice Technology Fund, is there sufficient funding to continue any type of upgrades and/or maintenance agreements with respect to this case management software?
All licensing and implementation costs are covered with the movements budget office just took. The only thing we need to budget for moving forward is the recurrent maintenance.
But will that recurring maintenance come out of this fund? Are there sufficient funds today and tomorrow? If not, it will have an impact. If not, it has an impact on the general fund. See, these are the things, well.
Right.
Yes, that's correct.
I have an answer. I have an answer for you. I want to say they should, but I would need to check the numbers because the fund replenishes itself with every misdemeanor. So
Right, no,
it should be there.
I understand, but we need to make sure that it does, because when we take action, or when the court takes action on these items, it's these little things
agree.
that,
Completely
the
agree.
differences that have to be covered by general fund. And so these are the unexpected things that we don't want coming up after we adopt the budget, where we have to come back to court and allocate these
and
funds to
we
cover
looked-
this.
We looked at that earlier when Renan brought this to court for implementation of Phase 3, and we looked at that. We were covering 100% from general fund. That was the plan, so we've actually switched over at least
Switched over
this
to the-
cost, yes, at least this cost over and the fund usually, I don't think it'll cover 100%. I think it'll, because there's existing costs that we pay with the just JP Technology Fund, such as computer replacements.
Right.
And things of that nature. So I'm not sure that it will cover. However, we would be then letting go of the AbleTerm maintenance. And although it's not dollar for dollar, I think the Odyssey's maintenance is higher, probably about twice as much. We do anticipate that increase would be able to be funded with the Odyssey, and then the other half would be funded through the JP Technology Fund.
Now, that being said, just as a point of information, if I may, AbleTerm is a technology developed and designed in 1983. So what we're doing with Odyssey is we're giving the courts, the JP courts in this case, and the criminal side, when we do that, is a more robust tool to go after the information that they have. This will make scofflaw, the pursuit of tickets, and collection of fines and fees much simpler to do, as opposed to the way we do it today, where it's very hard to extract the information from the current system. So this system does have a return on investment coming up. It'll have more tools. It is much more robust. So that's the plan moving forward with this initiative. Just as a point of information, I could present this to the court in a report in a future time, once we get a little bit closer to that.
Could you please?
Absolutely.
Again, Judge, Commissioners, the only reason that I bring this up, or not that I'm questioning it, because I think it's needed, is the mere fact that these are the little things that not disrupt, but that come up during our budgeting process or afterwards, and then we have to come back and then modify what we've planned throughout the year to make up these differences. Again, as Sergio mentioned earlier, there are going to be some recurring issues that come up, but with respect to short funding a budget, my attitude has always been, or my position has always been, that we don't short budget any account. The adopted budget is the adopted budget, okay? But there are areas where we're gonna have to get away from doing that, okay? Again, there was many discussions with the rating agencies on that very issue, okay? And we assured our rating agencies, and for that matter, bond counsel and everybody that was involved, that we were on top of it, and that it was not going to be a problem for us moving forward, as we've demonstrated to them in the past and currently that it's not a problem. But again, I just want to make sure that, as Sergio said, we do need to get away from that practice in certain accounts and start funding them at the level that they need to be funded at.
I believe you still need action on B3 would be the approval of the 2014 appropriation of funds in the amount of $645,570.73. And this is for the purchase of the case management software.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item 17C1A is approval of unappropriation of funds from CO Series 2010 A and B, Precinct 4, in the amount of $108,036.15.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
17C1B would be an appropriation of funds from CO Series 2010 A and B in the amount of $43,393.40.
Approval.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item 17C1C is unappropriation of funds from CO Series 2010 A and B in the amount of $1,750.20.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
And item 17C1D is approval of 2014 appropriation of funds from CO Series 1998 in the amount of $901.96.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners.
What about the initiatives? When are we going to be moving on those? You need to bring them up so we can act on them before we start adopting budgets.
Yes. One of the major initiatives that we have is going to be on the sanitation. We'll probably bring that. We were planning on bringing that back on next week on the 13th. However, we're looking at to be able to have a full court. We're looking at bringing that back on the 20th and have either action on implementing the franchising of the waste collection or in the alternative implementing a permit fee. And we'll present both plans to the court on the 20th for approval.
And authorizing the sale of those properties?
Yes, Ms. Marty, I think, has additional properties that she's going to add to the list.
All right.
Judge, may I approach?
Yes, sir.
I apologize. I'm speaking to item 13C on the agenda, which you approved the resolution authorizing Urban County to submit their 2014 annual budget.
I'm sorry, what item number?
13C.
13C.
And we did submit a public comment on that. I'm not sure if it was clear, and so I wanted to, with your permission, to clarify a little bit and ask for your reconsideration on that, if you'll allow me.
We'll go ahead and do that.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you, Judge. What we are asking for in our public comment that we submitted to Urban County on that is an increase to the Chodo funding.
First of all, is Diana here?
Yes.
Okay.
What we're asking is an increase on the line item for the home program for Chodo funding. We are trying to build 15 new single-family homes. Unfortunately, because of rising construction costs, what's currently budgeted at $500,000, we won't be able to make it. We're not going to be able to reach those 15 homes, new homes. And so what we're asking, and we submitted a letter, and what we're asking is increased funding on that line item for the Chodo program. And we can work with Ms. Diana Serna within the allotted money for the home program from different line items to move additional funding into the Chodo program. The only thing is that would require your approval to do that. And then in which case we could increase the Chodo program funding, and ultimately we would be able to reach the construction of 15 new homes.
All right, so you want us to, I guess we would have to rescind whatever action we may have taken.
Yes. Yes, Judge. As I indicated, the home program is going to get $1,700,000. What we do before we submit our action plan to HUD is we identify where the funding is going to go. We set aside $100,000 for direct home ownership assistance. We set aside $930,000 for owner-occupied, which is our rehabilitation program, and we set aside $500,000 for SHODOs. Keep in mind that we have Proyectos Deca as a SHOTO and we have ASTI as a SHOTO. What Proyectos Deca was requesting is that we allocate additional funding to the SHOTO line item to share either between themselves or that they use the entire funding.
What are you recommending or proposing that we do with reference to the request that Mr. Garza is making?
I would have no objection allocating additional funding to the SHOTOs, and my recommendation would probably be to take the $100,000 from the direct home ownership assistance line item and possibly maybe another $50,000 to $100,000 from the owner occupied to make it a total of $650,000 to $700,000 for SHOTOs.
So we have to rescind prior action?
If you'd like to take this recommendation now, you could rescind the action taken and then revise the new recommendation.
What impact would the difference make to the other?
I'm sorry?
What difference or the impact if you move money from one line item to another?
It'll possibly allow us to do additional, as Mr. Garza indicated, additional homes through Proyectos Deca and the SHOTOs. We probably will not be able to provide down payment and closing cost assistance to potential homeowners, which may turn out to be a problem for us anyway because of the lack of funding that's available for construction through agencies such as USDA, Rural Development. So we'd have to wait one way or the other. Do we want new construction through the nonprofits, or do we want new construction financed through banks? That's the decision that the court needs to determine. Either way, we're going to be building housing in Hidalgo County, and they will be on the tax rolls, and they will be helping the county with our financial needs.
What's the wishes of the court?
This is for item 13C?
13C, yes.
Yes.
If we leave it alone, we have no need to act. If we want to go ahead and adopt the proposal, then we have to move to rescind the previous action taken on 13C.
Are you good with the recommendation?
That's your recommendation?
I would have no objection to it.
Okay. I move to rescind item 13C.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And move for approval of 13C as stated,
With the revisions.
with the revisions stated.
With the revision, which will amount to about 150,000 more, more or less.
For the SHOTOs, yes.
All right. There was a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries. Am I correct? Unanimous? Yeah, unanimous.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Commissioners.
Martha Salazar for the Purchasing Department.
Yes, ma'am.
We're going to go on to item 1. This is discussion and approval of a consent to pool Hidalgo County interest in the following acres as posted on the agenda. 20 acres of land, more or less, farm tract number 2269, North Capacillo, District Subdivision, Llano Grande Grand, Hidalgo County, according to the map of the subdivision recorded in Volume 2, page 7 of the map records, Hidalgo County, Texas. Said 20 acres, more or less, described in a warranty deed dated December 26, 1947, from W.H. Draw to Juan Davila, recorded Volume 634, page 147 of the deed records, Hidalgo County. We do have the deed and the plat attached for your, and this is including, your action would include the executing of the consent to pool document by either the judge or a member of the court.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 2, this is requesting exemption from competitive bidding, from competitive procurement requirements pursuant to Texas Local Government Code 262-024A7C, approval of a sole, first the exemption.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 2 is approval of the sole source declaration for postmaster for the provision of postage and other related services for Hidalgo County elected officials, departments, programs, or agency from all funding sources, with said declaration to remain in effect unless revoked by Commissioners Court.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C is approval for Hidalgo County offices, elected offices, departments, programs, and/or agencies to purchase postage and other related services offered only from the postmaster as a sole source, and as described in the sole source herein.
So
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 3 is discussion, recommendation, and approval of the modified list of 18 prospective nominated county-owned properties as attached hereto to be offered for sale, commercial development through soon-to-be contracted broker. Let me just give you a caveat to that request. 2 of the properties which lie in Precinct 1 may end up being requested for purchase by the county's housing authority, of which the provision in the code would permit them to purchase. We will still need a fair market value appraisal, but we would not have to put them as a list out for sale. So just to give me that authority to remove those 2, if that is what's going to happen.
All right.
Okay?
So move for
Second.
approval of 3B, excluding the 2 properties identified?
If possible, only
If
if
possible,
necessary,
yeah.
yes.
Second.
That was 3A.
3A, it's 3A.
I'm
yes.
sorry, 3A.
All right, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B is authority to seek fair market value appraisals through the county's protocol for the modified list as captioned on item A of the 18 prospective nominated county-owned properties.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
On the approval of construction change directive 5 as drafted and submitted through project architect Alcocer Garcia, reviewed and concurred with by the construction manager Prodigy in relation to the flooring remodel of the IT room first floor, revisions to Hidalgo County's Commissioner's room, meeting room
Closing, please.
in the amount not to exceed. There is a correction on that. It should be $16,289. That was the original figure in the first document sent to us. The first document stated an $18,000 figure, but there were going to be credits coming in from the contractor of $2,500 at that point. There is a concern on the agenda from the auditor's office on this item. I will tell you that I did speak to the architect. I have confirmed it with the project manager that there are continued credits that are being expected from the contractor on this CCD 5, which will greatly reduce, and the use of allowances, which will greatly reduce that bottom line on the construction cost. It will be much less than the $16,289. So I do recommend that we proceed to approve.
Judge, we recommend no action on this item, and the reason is, well, I think you already made a correction on the dollar amount of the caption, but the documentation indicates that there will be no increase in the contract amount.
Well, that was the documentation.
Let me finish. But there will be, Judge, and the other issue is that that there are some changes that need to be made to the documentation. One document reads a lump sum, another document says an amount not to exceed, and we're not sure which is which. So because of all of that, we recommend no action and make those corrections.
Okay. The not to exceed is on the caption, not on the document. The document says a lump sum. However, as I explained, the reason why the architect is confirming that the $16,289 proposed as an increase may not end up being that. It may be much less, and that's why we can't, that's why the language on the background and on the fiscal impact said that there was not going to be a change, because we can't anticipate. Even as we spoke yesterday, he was still receiving credits from the contractor, and he was looking at the allowances. There will be an impact to the bottom line, but not anywhere near the $16,289. That's the explanation.
Yeah, but I think the documentation says that this amount will be increasing the contract amount.
Correct.
This is
However,
money-
but it's a change order directive. There would still be a change order. This is a construction change directive. A change order would then give you the new contract price to wrap it all up.
What happened that it's needed? I mean, is it, look, I mean, we've had problems with the architect time after time. Is this one?
This has to do with tile on the first floor that has to be addressed. It also did, as Valde had explained to you earlier in the report, that there has been additional room found to move the Commissioner's Court dais back some 12 feet to give you more in the direction that the court is now going to be facing, which is north and south, give you more depth. That's what this is coming from.
But is this money going to the contractor or to the architect?
No, it's not going to the architect. It's going to the contractor when we know the bottom line.
It's an increase
This is
in-
not an increase in the architect's fee.
it's an-
This
an
has
increase in
nothing
the-
to do with the architect's fee at all.
It's an increase in the construction cost.
In the construction cost, but as he told me yesterday, and I explained in an email to the auditor's office, Mr. Alcocer and Prodigy has confirmed, even as we were discussing it, that there were credits being given to the architect from the contractor because of the changes, and some of the allowances are still in play. Therefore, it would be no more than 16,289, but we don't believe it's going to be any more. The figure that he was hoping for was probably 6,000.
From what I understand, there was clearly an error on the part of the architect that he had to correct. And now we're being penalized by having to come up with more money for the contract.
Okay. What I understand is that when the construction manager went out there and actually chalked out the footprint of how Commissioner's Court is going to look, it was determined that it was the configuration on the north and south, now the way you have it, was going to be very short in seating. Originally, if you will recall, there were two offices that the DA's office had acquired for themselves that they wouldn't give up. In order to give us more depth, we've gone back to that original change in which 12 feet have now been taken from the DA and 2 additional offices for them have been found. It wasn't until it was drawn out and chalked out as a diagram did Mr. Guerra and the construction manager determined that the architect, although there's enough room for the seating, he said, because we also went wide, the perception is that the length and breadth are going to be changed, and therefore it was very short. You weren't going to have that many rows of seating. But this would be to the construction contract, not to the architect, in order to make those changes of additional 12 feet to
But the
move your
reason that we're
dais.
having to make the changes is because the architect didn't do his job properly.
Well, that would have to be determined if there was, an error and
From the-
omission on his part, Judge. But at this point, in order to get it done, you need to proceed with the change order directive. That would have to be
Well, we got
the
to pay
course
the
of action.
contractor. We got to pay the contractor.
Correct. You have to approve the CCD. But I am telling you and assuring you that the 16,289 that you are correcting, according to the architect and confirmed by Prodigy, is going to be reduced.
Well, Judge, again, I would recommend no action. If you go and approve this item, I would like to have 2 questions answered. Is this change going to increase the overall amount of the contract, number 1?
Yes,
Number
but
2
not by the 16,289.
Let me finish, Marty. And number 2 is also the fact that this agenda caption reads an amount not to exceed. Supporting documentation says it's a lump sum. To us, an amount not to exceed, it means it could be less, but not more than that. A lump sum means it's a hard number. It is going to be whatever number it is. So that's the other question that I have.
All right. And I answered the first one, which is, yes, it's going to increase, but we do not believe it's the 16,289. I'm reporting what the architect and the construction manager has confirmed. Secondly, the reason it read that way is because the original draft copy of the construction change directive that was added to the agenda had an amount of 18,000 and some. There was already an error that was caught by both the architect and the construction manager of a $2,500 credit that had to be given to us by the construction contractor. That dropped it to 16,089. When yesterday's draft, the latest draft, was sent to us, that changed to 16,289. Because it wasn't a $2,500 credit, it was a $1,600 credit. But there are more credits coming in. That's what I'm telling you. So because I put that it's not to exceed changed because of the circumstances I'm telling you. I'm giving you to understand. I'm reporting. It was also deleted from the agenda, the original CCD, of which the auditor got a copy, and the new one was attached, of which you should have on your backups.
Marty, so is it a lump sum or not to exceed?
It's a lump sum on the CCD.
Okay.
We've already put Wilson
It's
Construction
18
through all kinds of,
16,289 so that they can proceed to do this. I understand what your direction is, Judge, but however, this needs to proceed in order, a determination after that would be between a contractual issue between the county and the architect.
I agree with you. All right, any other questions?
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Under item B for precinct 2, this is acceptance and approval of the final construction contract documents for the project Hidalgo County Precinct 2's Gerhardt Drive paving and drainage improvements. That is to Rojas Heavy Equipment, DBA Rojas Construction and Paving in the amount of $185,000 through contract number 078. There is also a concern by the auditor on this. The contract document wasn't attached. I did respond yesterday by informing them that the precinct had told us that they were still working on the document late yesterday through Mr. Crane, making corrections. There is another note on this morning's concerns that the Accord certificates of insurance need to be corrected because it names the drainage district instead of the county. However, the drainage district does have participation in this project. Therefore, we would ask that they probably add the county and not remove the drainage district. The name of the project on the attached Accord certificate of insurance describes a drainage district project. I've just told you why. And the certificate of insurance for workers' comp is still lacking. I would recommend that it be approved subject to all of these corrections being made. The contract will not be signed unless all of this is in place. And Mr. Silguero and I had a conversation earlier. He's fully cognizant of that.
So approval with
Subject to the
correction.
Yeah, I guess the correction is going to be that they need to add the county to a certificate.
Add the county, and they need to provide us their
Workers' comp.
their workers' comp insurance certificate.
Move for approval with the corrections and.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
We are seeking ratification on item 2 of the fully executed change order number 1 for an additional 39 contract days due to inclement weather and work stoppage by irrigation district number 2 with contractor Texas Cordia Construction, lowering of canal crossing and road widening at Eldora and Sergeant Leonel Trevino Roads for precinct 2. And this was submitted through the engineer Cruz Hogan, not Javier Hinojosa. I apologize for that typo. Cruz Hogan Engineering.
It's a typo on the contract number?
I think that the precinct submitted this, and we didn't catch that it was Javier Hinojosa. It was Cruz Hogan, not Javier Hinojosa.
So it should be 13-293-1220?
And then, yes, and the contract number is also, as you stated, 293 and not 192.
Move
Thank
for
you, Mr.
approval with
Professor.
the correction of the engineer.
Check.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 3, approval of the following requisition listed for operating expenses exceeding $7,500. This is Precinct 2's Moore Road Project, requisition 256242, Roy's Hauling, $9,056.12. And this is the hauling of caliches to the Moore Road Project.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C1, County Clerk, acceptance and approval of the continuation of the Able Scan Document Scan Station Maintenance Software Agreement for Hidalgo County Clerk as provided by Tyler Technologies, including but not limited to the continuation of services through the life term of the system in place by County Clerk's Office, including annual payment of the term ending 2014 through assigned requisition 250869, and thereafter annually.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. That is all I have.
Thank you. This time pursuant to 551, 071, and 072, I would need a motion to proceed to executive session.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. It's 11:46. We're going to be in executive session. All right, we're convening this meeting again. We're back in open session. Mr. Guerra?
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners.
You can still,
can still abstain, because there's a majority. There is a majority. Okay. There it is.
There's no real estate, am I correct?
Right, but Judge, Commissioners, if I may, I want to make one clarification. If we could just go back to item 7D, the authorization approval to submit the preliminary energy assessment. The court took action on that item, but for clarification purposes, on the document that we're submitting, I wanted to clarify that I will be the individual signing off on the request on behalf of the court. Just want to make sure, because that will be the point of contact for this program. So I wanted to make sure that that was on the record, that I'm signing the document, sending it off, and I'll be the point of contact with this program.
Well, do you want the record to reflect that you have authority to sign
Yes.
this
We
document?
just need a motion to approve that.
Yes. Please, if I could have a motion to approve me signing the document and be the point of contact?
So move.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. And then, Judge, Commissioners, again, yes, you are correct, Judge. If we go back to open session, there is no action item under real estate acquisition. Item, my apologies.
B, no action, Balde?
Item B, pending potential litigation, under open session, no action. Item 20C, cause number 712-CV 116 Luis Enrique Caudillo versus Hidalgo County Sheriff's Department. Judge, Commissioners, I'd like for the court to entertain a motion and settlement of this case in the amount of $15,000.
15?
$15,000.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Abstain for the record.
Okay. As always, I will have all the appropriate documentation sent over to the auditor's office, or to Mr. Ofracio. Item D, claim of Leland P. Polk. Judge, Commissioners, I'd like settlement authority to make an offer in the amount of $211.09.
So move.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 20E, claim of Jose Reyes del Bosque. Judge, Commissioners, again, I'd like settlement authority to make an offer in the amount of $915.
Move for.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge, Commissioners, before we adjourn, as there's no action on 21 and 22, I'd like to report to the court and just put on the record for our viewing audience, and we will also send out a memo. There is some scheduling conflicts next week, and so we shall not be having a Commissioners' Court session next week. So there will be no court next week. Our next court session will be the following Tuesday, the 28th, the 20th, I'm sorry. May 20th will be our next meeting. As always, we do it, Mr. Frasso, as always, we do acknowledge the approval of bills, but again, we do have a scheduling conflict, and from time to time, this occurs. And
There'll
so
be no court
there'll be
meeting
no,
at all?
no, sir.
All right.
And our next court session, May 20th.
May 20th?
Yes. Thank you, Judge, Commissioners.
Thank you. Need a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Vámonos.
Those in
move.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.